right. Peace and blessings. Assalamu alaikum, dear Masjid Taqwa family. I am so honored to be here with you today. I'm Dr. Aisha El-Amin. I serve as the chair of the Talim Committee, along with Dr. Lionel Allen, Dr. Gloria Bashir, and Rashida Fitzgerald. Um, we are welcoming a family that we know well and we love. I just want to remind you all that this Talim, as well as our previous Talims and Kabas, can be found on Masjid Al Taqwa YouTube channel. So if you have not already subscribed, please do so and share it with a few friends as well. We work to bring very relevant titles and topics to you each week. And so this is a series that we're looking at starting with families in the community. As we know, it is if you love us, if you know us, to know us is to love us. Oftentimes, we as African American Muslim families, we know each other and we are connected to one another. So it is really important for other folks to know us as well. We were sitting around actually, Amy L and a few of the other sisters, Rashida Fitzpatrick was part of that as well, and just saying, hey, we got a lot to tell about our history and how we grew up and lessons that we learned that we want to continue to do with other families. And so if your family is also willing to, the Mateen family is going to kick us off, but if your family wants to be part of this series, that we can kind of cement our history and our stories, please do get in touch with me. So without further ado, I'm gonna sit in the background and enjoy kind of hearing all the things that make up the Mateen family, because I know and love them, and I know you will as well. And so I'm gonna hand the mic over to our beloved Amy L to kick us off.
Hey, assalamu alaikum, everybody. As Dr. Aisha El-Amin said, my name is Amy L. Mateen. I think everyone on here I know, and you know me. And I'm going to be leading a conversation with my mom and two of my siblings today. And just to give you a little background, just kind of, I guess, of where we come from background before we get into it. My father, who is no longer with us, El Fatih Mateen, he was born in Bernice, Louisiana. He grew up in Galveston, Texas, later moved to Ruston, Louisiana, and then to Flint, where he wanted to find work, and he found work at General Motors. My mom, she grew up in Portsmouth, Virginia, grew up in Charleston, West Virginia, and moved to Dayton, Ohio at the age of 14 years old. And then later, she moved to Flint with her mom and her siblings. My mom and dad, they have together 9 children. There's 6 girls, 3 boys. There's 1 set of twins from my immediate family. 2 of my siblings are joining us today, Tahida Mateen and Kalila Mateen, and my mom. So with that, let's get started. And I'll do just a little more introduction about myself. My name is Amy L. I'm number 6 of the 9 children. There's 5 above me, 2 girls, 3 boys. Yep. And then there's me. I am an HR professional. Some of my hobbies are I run. I'm an artist now that I'm calling myself an artist, actually. Yeah, that's a little bit about me. And a lot of you know me probably in that way that I just introduced. And let's start with my mom giving an introduction. Mommy, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm the mommy of these 9 children, these phenomenal women and sons, and I am so proud to be their mommy, and I am so proud to be a grandmother, and I am very, very proud to be active with my great-grandchildren. So that's enough about me right now.
Kalila, Jerry, you want to, Kalila?
Okay, I was trying to figure out how to unmute. So name is Kalila Mateen. My profession is I work for the Department of Health and Human Services in Michigan. I deal with kids that are abused and neglected. Some of my hobbies, I like to read. I do like to travel. I have 3 kids of my own and 3 grandkids. Something interesting about me. I don't know. I guess I'm not interesting. Anyway,
Yes, she is.
I do a lot of us tap dance. So I'm one of the siblings that actually tap dance.
That was a good one. Tahita, you want to go?
Sure. I'm sitting up here laughing at Jerry still. Tahita Mateen, I'm the youngest of 9 kids of the 9, so I'm the last one. And I'm a public affairs specialist for the U.S. Small Business Administration, Office of Disaster Recovery and Resilience. So I travel around and talk about disasters to groups of people. My hobbies are hanging out with my kids, travel, painting, roller skating, bowling. I still love to bowl, beaching. So a couple other things. So hi, everybody.
Hey, Tahita.
All right, super. Okay, so let's start with this question. I'm going to start with you. Can you, this is probably maybe difficult to do, but can you tell us about, your upbringing up in one word? It takes a few seconds to think about it, but can you sum it up in one word and tell us why you would describe it that way?
Okay, when I first saw that question, I said, one word, it's called imaginative.
Okay.
And why? Because when you have certain parents that you live with, it's good to have an imagination. And so my upbringing was very colorful. We moved from state to state. And so I developed an imagination that kept everyone in the family interested in some of my imaginations. There you go.
You want to give us an example or no?
Yeah, my imaginations was storytelling. I used to write stories as a young girl, and I think the stories that I wrote was about the future that I expected for myself. My mother would read my stories, and it just gave her the biggest laugh because the misspelled words and how creative I was, about the picket fence and all the things that you read in storybooks. So I had a very vivid imagination, and it was very colorful. And so I was able to communicate by coming up with different ideas, which I still do today. And you all know I'm always coming up with an idea of this and that. So I still carry that same imagination.
All right. Imagination. All right. Kalila.
So my one word would be defining. Because of me being the oldest child and the first one, I was I guess I was that defining moment for my mother to learn how to be a mother. I had to define myself as an older sibling so that I could be some type of role model to my siblings. So that the one word I would put out there is defining.
Defining. Okay. Number 9, Tahita.
Oh, goodness. I would say, it's almost a polar opposite as Jerry because I'm on the other end of it.
Yeah.
So I would say probably unbothered.
Okay.
Because I was number 9, and by the time it got to me, it was, I wasn't like I had to raise myself, but I think I got away with quite a bit. Spoiled. No one really bothered me, and everyone just kind of, I guess took me under their wings, so to speak. But yeah.
All right. So unbothered. All right. Sometimes you might hear me almost call my sister Kalila Jerry. That was her name when she was born, and she ended up changing her name when my father gave my first, was it the first 4 siblings, the option to change their name because their names were Jerry, Eddie, Tyrone, and Jerome. So my family father accepted Islam, I think, in 69, and then I can't remember,
67.
67, and at maybe at some point he asked them if they wanted to change their name. So that's my segue into this question. Mommy, this question is for you. Can you tell us about when you accepted Islam and like what was going on at that time? And I guess why you chose to accept Islam?
Well, your father came into the community first, and I remember him saying, Brother James, he said, I'm going to see what Brother James is talking about. And so he began to bring home the Muslim journals and different things like that. So it was like him adventuring out and finding out something new. At that time, of course, I was Jehovah's Witness. And so I said, okay, then. So as he got closer to home, talking about Islam, changing the diet, taking the pork out of the house and all that stuff like that. And I'm like, what is it? He lost his mind. You know, we got 9 children to feed, and he's talking about emptying the refrigerator. So I decided at that time to go visit. After he'd start visiting the temples, I said, well, okay, then. He came with me as a Jehovah's Witness and came to the Kingdom Hall with me. So I owed him a visit. And so I was paying back that visit. And the first time that I went, I found the longest outfit that I could put on, and they turned me away. And when they said, you can't come in because of my clothes, they were too short, da 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 da. And so I walked out the door. I never forget, it was a pink plaid walking suit. And I said to myself, I will never come back to this place again. I will never come back to this place again. And so it was Wednesday night, they had meetings. So I decided to go back that Wednesday. And after that, I went another time to visit. And I remember sitting on the bench, and it was like, okay, this is it. You know, I have to search no further. And so that was your father came in 67. I came in 68. And after that, it was Islam all the way.
Yeah. So do you know what it was when you said this is it? Do you remember what that, or was it
just it was a comfortable feeling. If you've been in what I've always searched for religion. Even as a little girl, I was looking for a religion. And I remember having my ears pierced one time, and my mother said, this lady told me, she was Seventh-day Adventist, and she said, you know, God has given you all the holes in your body. So I let my ears close up at that time. So that was about around 13 and 14. And then there was another religion that I went to, and my mother, I wanted to get baptized, and mother said, she said, wait till you're old enough where you could understand about religion. And so I had been searching all the time for religion. And during that time, it was just comfortable. After searching and being a part of all these other different religions that I had already experienced, when I came to Islam, it's like the whole world opened up. The brother that was speaking was talking about do something for yourself and telling us how important we were as human beings. And so it was just, I'm sitting there and I'm just getting like, hey, this is it. I don't have to go anywhere. My search was over. And it was, and it still is over. I'm still loving every minute of it.
All right, alhamdulillah. All right, changing gears a bit for all three. And Mommy, we'll stick with you on this. Can you tell us about some of your fondest childhood memories?
Okay, some of my fondest childhood memories is that I was able to accomplish skating at an early age. And I remember the metal skates. That was my excitement, is going out. I got a bicycle, things that my brothers and sisters had no interest in, but I had the freedom. I guess it was a free spirit that I just like to be outside, skating, digging holes, and just being adventurous. And so that's what's my childhood was, just being an adventurous human being.
All right. Okay. All right. So I was going to ask some follow-up questions. We'll stop there. Kalila. I'm always calling her Jerry.
Well,
Jerry.
Yeah, just call me Jerry, because
I'm just calling you Jerry.
Right.
Hey, what is your tell us about some of your fondest childhood memories.
So one of my fondest childhood memories was when my mother had a dog, a Pekingese, and the dog's name was Killer. And that dog was about big as the palm of my hand. So Killer ran out the house and got ran over. And my mother wore sunglasses. She didn't cook for us. She was really in mourning for that dog. And not until I got a cat and I had to put my cat down did I understand that type of love for an animal. Not until then. So that became not only one of my fondest memories, but it turned into a life lesson also, growing up. Some of the other memories, I'm gonna have to reserve those because I don't know if the audience anyway. But I just remember mommy and daddy always being so much fun to me, just watching them get along. And I remember my father pulled a picture out of his I went and asked my dad for some money, and he pulled a picture out of my mother, and he said, "Look at this is the most beautiful woman in the world. Look at her, just pretty." And I'm sitting up there looking at him like, I didn't ask to see that picture. All I want is $1. And he was going on and on about this picture. And no offense, mommy, but this wasn't the cutest picture I seen of my mom. So I was like, can you please give me $1? You over here raving over a picture with my mother looking like buckwheat. Just give me the $1. But
That's cute.
he raved over that picture. So those are two of my most fondest memories.
Okay.
I remember Killer.
Yeah.
I know.
All right. Huh?
Somebody got a question in the chat.
Okay, let me have Tahita answer, then I'll read it.
Oh,
Tahita,
mine is real quick. I think mommy teaching me how to skate. And when I would fall, she would be like, "Get up." Oh well, and just skate right past me. So I really learned a really good lesson with that in itself. But I can remember me just kind of struggling my way around, and mommy was a good skater. I mean, is a good skater. And I think I'm probably better than her now. No.
You are.
So,
You are.
I do remember that, but now I'm a pretty good skater. And another memory of daddy is just the rides to school that he used to drive me off at Sister Claire Muhammad School and have our little chats and our little talk, and I'll get out the truck and run up to school. So that was a really, good memory as well. I always think about that. And I just wish I had more time with those type, times with my dad. But, while they were here and while he was here, they were very memorable. So that's for me.
Okay. All right. Let's see if I can read this question. All right. We have a question. Was it more challenging for the first 4 Mateen children in transitioning to being in a Muslim household as opposed to the later 5 that were born into it?
That's a good question.
We're representing both sides. Jerry probably could. She was like the very first one, the oldest, and probably has the most memories about it. So Jerry, you want to talk about the first 4 experience, or do you need me to read the question again? You're on mute.
Being the oldest, so like me, I think Ty and Bo are like a year, maybe. A year and a month. And I don't know, I guess after a while, the more people that came under me, the more I was getting frustrated because I was starting to think they're going to be taking all the stuff from me. I'm going to have to share this and share that. But I didn't, that's how you think when you're a child. You think sort of selfishly because you're thinking Oh, this is mine. This is going to be mine. And then you get all these siblings under you that you're sharing with. And I look at that as a blessing because I know some people who are only children that don't know about some of the stuff I know when it comes to the relationships that I've developed. I tell people all the time, I've seen every woman, every personality, every behavior in my 5 sisters under me. So being the oldest was kind of fun. And just sitting back and watching my siblings, develop and come along, and the arguments we got into, and months or weeks or whatever we went without talking to each other because we're angry for whatever reason. It never stopped me as an older child I never would disconnect from any of my siblings for any reason at all. So I just felt like being the oldest child was like, it was like a trophy. It was accountability, responsibility.
All right, thanks for sharing. I probably confused you earlier, but there's a question in the chat. It says, was it more challenging for the first 4 Mateen children in transitioning to being in a Muslim household as opposed to the latter 5 that were born into it?
Mommy might want to answer that. I don't know.
Is that for me, Amy?
Yeah, you can answer it. You might, from your vantage point, maybe your vantage point, you can answer it. So it indicates.
How old was Jerry and the twins when they converted, though? Were they babies?
Yeah,
No.
they were. Yeah, I think the twins were about 4. I think Jerry was 5 or 6. So they were.
We were
so
toddlers.
Okay, so I don't know if that would. I don't know. Maybe I'm not the one to chime in. Sorry.
No, that makes sense. And I think for the latter 5, that's all we knew.
Yeah.
We didn't know anything different. We just knew, we got up, we went to the masjid, that's it. But the first 4, they did have like Christmas and they ate certain foods.
No, you remember I was Jehovah's Witness, so there was really not a big lot of Christmas.
That's right.
So we did eat. So we ate pork, didn't we, Mom? Oh yeah, we did before we became Muslims, and Jehovah's Witness ate pork also. But before we became Muslims, we did have the traditional Christmas. But once I became Jehovah's Witness, and your father just kind of got along with it because that was saving him money. He didn't have to go out and buy bicycles and everything. So we kind of stopped Christmas due to the religion of being a Jehovah's Witness. And I think Jerry was about 5 or 6, something like that. I know she probably remembers the Christmases.
Yeah.
And I remember eating pork.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I remember the Savior's Day, and we would have like gifts, do like a lot of gifts exchanges, and we would still have a lot of gifts even then. So another question we have here is, did you all go to Sister Clara Muhammad schools? I went to Sister Clara Muhammad school. Who else went? Tahita?
Me. I went for a long time.
Yeah, I think all of us had to go. If Tahita was there, I think all of us went to. Yeah, we did because when I was there, who was there was me, Omar, Mita, and Rocky. So that was that 4, and then the first 4 was there. Yeah, so all of us actually did go to Sister Clara Muhammad schools. Yep, all in Flint, Michigan. I think it was. Nowhere. It was the ones in Flint, Michigan.
Yes.
Yeah.
And actually, it was mosque number, I think it was 53 in Flint.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we had to sing the Sister Clara Muhammad School. Sister Clara Muhammad School. We used to have to sing that. I remember that song.
Yes.
Yeah. I probably watched people while they sung it because I was like such an introvert, and I was just kind of like not.
Tahita's the baby, but she had a mind of her own from the beginning until now. She does. She was her own individual. She was determined, wait a minute, I'm not gonna blow a clarinet. That's not what I want. So I want to sing a song. So she was
Yeah,
in the choir.
she's in the choir, right?
Chose different track sport outlets. And so she's always had that independent thinking mind,
Hmm.
which all of you all do. I'm proud of you all do.
Yeah. So the next question, I think we've kind of answered it, but what are some of the main lessons you learned from your rearing by mommy and daddy?
I remember I don't know how old I was, and mommy could probably remember, but I remember I was washing the dishes.
Mm-hmm.
And mommy, you remember this, mommy?
Yes.
Yeah. And mommy came in and she was trying to tell me, you wash the dishes like this and wash the dishes like that and wash the dishes. So when I say that, that one word of upbringing is defining, that was a defining moment because me and mommy had a dialogue about why I got to do the dishes like you want me to.
Mm-hmm.
And then my mother said, you know what? Because the end result is the dishes gonna get clean. So I'm gonna let you do the dishes the way you want to do them. And that was defining because a lot of parents don't give their kids those healthy choices to make. And that was a healthy choice that my mother was able to back up and say, you know what? Let me back up. The dishes are going to get done. Just because she's not doing them like I'm doing them doesn't mean anything less or more is taken away from how she's doing the dishes. So it's moments like that um that I cherish and grow from. Now at the time, of course, being young, I'm like, why don't she leave me alone? But you're not gonna tell your mother that unless you don't value your teeth. So I valued my teeth. So I didn't say what I wanted to say.
Oh my goodness. But that was a growing moment for me also, Jerry.
Right.
Yes, it was a growing moment for me to see that my daughter, okay, then she knows how to do the dishes. So allow her to do the dishes the way she wants. She has the foundation and she has the value. So let her experiment this. And she did it well. She did it well.
The other lesson that I learned is Daddy used to say, and he used to say it to me because I always would have a question, or I was very verbal and outspoken, and sometimes the stuff I said used to get me in trouble. And I remember Daddy saying, Missy, because he called me Missy. He said, did you know a silence is a weapon? He said, that's your best weapon and your biggest weapon. Start using it. I was like, oh, yes, sir.
Why did that come about?
Because I was always asking questions or having some type of defiant response. Like I remember Daddy said something about yeah, y'all can have an open dialogue with us anytime you want to. And I said, well, if we can have an open dialogue, I don't want to do X, Y, and Z. And he told me, okay, you're going too far now. You're gonna do what I said do. So
You went beyond the barrier, beyond the limit.
right. So that's how some of my statements and words, because I was outspoken and I had questions and I wanted answers, and I did. I pushed the envelope because I wanted to push it. And Daddy pushed it right back at me, and I said, okay.
All right. Taida, did you want to share anything on that one?
What was the question?
Oh, what are some of the main lessons you learned from your rearing by mommy and daddy?
Oh my goodness. So, I mean, I guess everything that they taught, everything that the sisters and brothers were I feel like I'm just like a hodgepodge of everything. But just to be succinct, I would say just to be kind to people, treat people how you want to be treated, to give to people, because that was some of the foundations that mommy and daddy were, um, give to people less fortunate, be kind to people. Um, I mean, it's so many separate lessons, but I'll just keep it short, just to be kind, treat people how you want to be treated, and to give to, less fortunate. And that was a lot of things that they stood on.
Yeah, that made me think about something like just Islam. I think daddy, he didn't like force feed Islam in a way where it was like this thing over there that we had to get to. I felt like he the way he taught Islam was such that it was practical. It was more like a doing
Common
thing.
sense.
It wasn't like a sit and learn all of the traditions and learn this and don't go in there with your right foot. You got to do this. You got to do that. Oh no, Islam. It wasn't that. It was like he taught it in a way where we had to actually, well, he taught it in a way where it was us, like Tida was saying, being kind, being gentle, be service minded, give to the people in need, give charity, things like that. It was Islam he was teaching, but it didn't feel like it was this thing where it was being forced. And I think I think I'm saying that too, because I think in Flint, a lot of people were having it. This is my memory. Islam seemed like it was being forced on them in a way that they were just flat out rebelling. And it's maybe some of my siblings did too, but I didn't feel like it was forced in a way where it was like, oh no, that's just too much, that type of thing, or a punishment. Like, you did this, go read the Quran. You did this, go pray. You did this, go eat some beans and whatever. I mean, that's not, nobody would say that, but it would be, it was never forced. I feel like, anyway, Tida, what you just said made me think about that and tying it in with like the upbringing and Islam. So that's one of the things that I remember feeling and thinking now, to where it wasn't something that was necessarily taught with all the traditions and a lot of the practices things. It was just how to be a good person and how to instill Islam in a person to where hopefully they can like navigate the world and show up in a space where they're living as, as true Muslims.
I think too, it was age appropriate. So I guess it wasn't just forced on us like all at once. It was, I think the lessons that mommy and daddy taught us was age appropriate. Okay, you're this age, now you need to start fasting. Okay, you're this age, you starting your cycle. Now you have to do these things. And for us to see them doing those things, it didn't feel like it was taught or forced on us, because we had a vision of what it looked like. And so we just simply fell in line. It wasn't like, oh, you see me do this and don't do that. So yeah, I agree with that. But it was age appropriate, the way that it was introduced and put on us as well.
You know what? I remember when I wanted to take my scarf off. I wanted to stop wearing my hijab. And me and mommy sat down and had a conversation. And I was telling her, I said, Islam to me is in the heart of a person, the soul of a person. So to me, what you wear should not define you as being a good or bad Muslim. And I think sometimes we do that in Islam, but I remember my mother saying, you know what, you're 18, that's, you go ahead and make your way and do that. And she gave me her blessings and didn't, make me feel like she was judging me. So it was a level of freedom when Amy talks about how we weren't put in a pigeonhole in Islam. We were allowed that freedom to be who we are and internalize Islam at our level and speak through our own truth. And our parents were always supportive of that. I remember going into a mosque and I had my hijab around my neck, and I wasn't in the masala. I was just walking through the door, and one of the imams said, sister, you need to put your scarf on. And I was like, I think you out of line. And he hauled off and said, well, if your mother was here, I said, do not utter my mother's name ever in trying to define for me what Islam is. And that brother, he understood and backed up, but I felt okay speaking to him like that, because my parents didn't raise us to be nonverbal. They raised us to be outspoken, truthful, honest, speaking our truth, living our truth, dealing with people in the moment. And so that is some of the stuff that I take away from both of my parents. And Yeah, and I don't want to bust out crying on here.
I
All
agree
right.
with you. I agree with you, Jerry. And I think a lot of that translates into the way we raise our children.
Yep.
So I agree with you. I mean, we're 9 different personalities and they understood that. So, and it does, some of that translates into how we raise our children these days. So yeah, I agree with you.
All right,
Yeah.
we got a question. I don't want to get too far. We do have two, but so what are some of the what are some challenging moments growing up for me, Jerry, and Tahita? And mommy, for you, what are some of the challenges raising African American Muslims?
Well, we can call it there were no problems, and there are always challenges in life. And so some of the challenges that your father and we talked about, our greatest challenges were just to make sure that we had the food, clothing, the shelter, and maybe not all the time was it the living environment that everybody was comfortable with, but that was something that we were always looking forward to doing, was making things better for our children. So your father and our greatest focus was on making sure our children understood Islam, how this religion would be their foundation, and how they could use it to benefit themselves and their families in the future. So our greatest challenge was always having those circle talks to make sure, well, do they understand Islam? You know, are they comfortable? And so I wouldn't call it it was just progress that we make from time to time, year to year, is trying to make sure that our families are benefiting from what we're doing as adults. And I think that you my children are doing the same things with their children, because right now I'm experiencing the beautiful fruits of Islam. I used to see when I was younger and I saw older people with their older daughters coming to Islam, I was wondering, would I ever be like that? And then I see this beautiful flower open up, and now I can see my children, my daughters and my grandchildren. And this summer I experienced going camping with 2 of my great grandsons. And so it's just the beauty of this religion has just bloomed and blossomed. So I can really enjoy it now, to seeing my children, my grandchildren, and my great grandchildren living this life of fruitfulness of Islam. So I don't see it as really as a challenge.
Okay.
I just saw it as growth.
Yeah, just a quick point of, I guess, clarity. Circle talks. I think, mommy, when you said circle talks, you want to tell us what you meant by it? I was going to give my definition, but you want to talk about what you meant?
Yes, circle talks where dad would say, he said he would get the Quran, and he said, mommy, he said, I think I want to talk to the children. So I would get you all together. I remember it on Pasadena, we just sitting in a circle, and your daddy's reading from the Quran and explaining things, because your father was I remember before in early Islam, we didn't do a lot of the Quran studying and all that stuff like that. And when I seen him on Wood Street as a young woman, I came out the room and he was doing the praying and doing rak'ats. And I'm like, what the heck is he doing? Because back then we just did the often said prayer. We'd go to Wednesday night, but it was not the religion of Islam as it's practiced today, you know. And so the circle talks was us sitting in a circle, all of you children and your father reading the Quran, and you all having the opportunity to ask questions or to give the feedback or whatever.
Yeah, that's how I would have defined. Yeah, that's how I would have defined. I remember those, especially on Pasadena Street. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, the one thing that just came to mind when you just said something about on Wood Street, and I remember Wood Street. I was born, but I was little, maybe 3, right?
Yeah, you were a baby.
I remember Wood Street, so I can't remember what year that was, but right, I think Daddy, he started like practicing differently than they were even at the mosque at that time.
Yeah, that's where we accepted Islam. We were on Wood Street when we first accepted Islam.
Yeah. So
And his
anyway, it's a lot.
practice was, he read, your father read. He was an avid reader. Anything that chess or whatever, fishing or whatever, he would study it to the fullest, to the max. And so
Yeah.
Islam, there were books, and this is what he said to me when I first, he said, Mommy, we called each other mommy and daddy. Okay. He said, Mommy, he said, don't accept Islam from my mind. He said, you read and you study and you accept it from your experience. He said, don't take my old understanding. He said, you read it for yourself. And when I would come to him, if I heard gossip or anything like that, I thought Islam was this perfect world. And so when I come to him, I said, you know, these sisters, they were gossiping and talking. He said, let me tell you one thing. He said, that's the mind that's coming from the street. He said, but Islam is all wise and does everything exact. So you focus on Islam and not on street talk and whatever's going around like that. And so that's what made this religion so beautiful, is that I was told to understand it from my brain. So I pass that on to my children. Understand this religion from your brain, how Allah is blessing you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember Daddy saying that to us. The same thing. Don't accept it because he chose it. Make sure that it's something that we want. Definitely for ourselves, and not make it about just going with the flow, I guess. But yeah, make sure it's something that we want for our lives.
Yes.
There was another. Mommy, what did you want to focus on in our upbringing?
Just to make sure you had food, clothing, and shelter, involvement in not only in Islam, but involvement in the outside world, to make you to try to help you all become full human beings, that it's just not this circle, but there's a bigger search. Allah's creation is wide. And so trying to introduce you all to music. We had dance. We didn't stop dancing inside of our home. We didn't go to a lot of dances until you all got maybe in high school, but we danced inside of the home. We did fishing, and my concern was never to involve you in any of me and Dad's maybe different of opinions. Yes. And so to make sure the home was always pleasant and peaceful, even though you can see in the mother carries that responsibility and that weight in the home. When she's upset, the kids are upset, father's upset. So my concern was trying to make it not, because when I was coming up, I lived in that type of environment. I used to say as a little girl, I don't want my children to have to go through arguing and cursing and fighting and all that stuff like that. So it was a concerted effort to try to make the environment as peaceful as my brain could possibly make it during that time.
Yeah, well, job well done.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah. We're coming close to it. It's going to be over in 15 minutes. Our little first of many, hopefully, series of family talk, family storytelling. So I'll ask one last question of the two that we had, or you all can answer whichever of the last two questions. The questions are: as a mom, what would you say some of the challenges have been raising your children? We kind of answered that one. And then the last one is: what is your proudest moment to date?
Yeah.
Mommy, you want to go?
Yeah, go, Mommy.
Okay, my proudest, I tell you, sitting right here and listening to my oldest daughter and my youngest daughter, and the other ones would be here if they probably weren't working, and listening to Amy. And I just spent this time with Amy. She came down for things. My proudest moment is my family, to see my daughters. I call them phenomenal women. And then because I have interaction with my granddaughters, so they raise these granddaughters, and they're phenomenal granddaughters and grandsons. And so my proudest moment is that I don't have to pick up the paper and read where somebody's dealing drugs, or somebody walked in this cafe with a gun and it was one of my family members. So my proudest moment, I have so many things to be thankful for. My health, and I'm going to be 80, God willing, next year. I'm looking forward to it. But my proudest moment really is to listen to my children and to hear my daughter speak right now. So I'm just a proud mama. I'm a proud mama, proud grandmama, and a darn proud great grandmama.
Aw. Aw.
I eat crazy.
All right, Tahita, Jerry, what is we want to ask? We have a question in the chat, but we are also asking, what's your proudest moment?
I think my proudest moment is just being a mom
Mm.
and the accomplishments that I've able to accomplish with my kids. So that's my proudest moment.
Yes.
All right, Jerry.
So it's basically the same. My proudest moment is the same as my mother's proudest moment.
Let me see. My proudest moment is when I'm able to vacuum this living room. No, I'm just kidding.
She not playing. No.
That's my Jerry.
Okay. Let me get serious. So I guess it's the same thing. Your proudest moments is based on, what you did with your kids and how they came out and all that energy you put into them and how they, have absorbed that from you and moved on into their own lives to be, assets and value to their community. So.
Cool beans. Yeah, you all did a really good job. A really good job. And just to give you our range of some of the nieces and nephews' age range, oh my gosh, the youngest one I think is like of the immediate family, my siblings is, I think Hannah just turned 18. I think she's the youngest.
Yeah.
And the oldest niece is Tahid. How old is Tahid? 36?
Oldest nephew.
Yeah.
Well, he's
wait,
9
no.
years younger than me.
He's
So-
not younger than you. What?
No, he's
No.
9 years. I remember I was like 9 or 10 when he was born. So he's like, well, I'm 38. So no.
Right. She been 38 for about 12 years. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
He's 36 or 37.
Yeah. So that's a range of the nieces, my mom's grandchildren, and then some of them are married and they've actually had children. So the last question this is not the last question. We'll open it up for questions if people want to question or comment. Okay. Somebody in the chat said, love the concept of circle talks and studying Quran together. Do you feel it helps you to stay close to Islam? If so, is that a practice that you all have continued or want to continue with your own children?
Wait, what was the question? I should have been listening.
Okay, I got to put my glasses back on. It's in the chat, but hold on one second. It says, I love the concept of circle talks and studying the Quran together. Do you feel it helped you to stay close to Islam? If so, is that a practice that you all have continued or want to continue with your own children?
I know I continue with my children. I've never told my kids, like, I've never said to them, y'all, I pretty much told my kids, whatever you are, make sure you believe in God. That's pretty much, I was not going to support atheism or, something like that. But I never really told my kids, you have to be Muslim. They are Muslim though. They accepted Islam and they practice and everything. Everybody does, fasting and attends any Islamic or Muslim event. So my kids just, they just did it. So.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we have like 9 minutes left. I guess we can, if people have questions that they want to pose or comments, talk about their families or whatever you want to do. We have a few minutes left. If that's okay. Aisha, I don't know what's planned, but I'm kind of guiding.
That sounds good.
All right, you can
I can just kick us off by saying I appreciate the vulnerability and you all sharing with us. It's it's eye-opening, some of the correlations. Can you talk a little bit about, I mean, Sister Claire Muhammad schools are different everywhere you go. And I can imagine the 9 of you all overtaking a Sister Claire Muhammad school and how fun that might have been. Can you talk a little bit about your experience as Sister Claire Muhammad?
I'll talk about mine. I think that, who was talking? Tahita, go.
Well, I was there. I mean, Mommy, you probably correct me if I'm wrong. I believe I was there. Was I 4 or 5? I don't know. I was very young. My experience, thinking back, I mean, I was writing Arabic. I was speaking some Arabic fluently. I could read Arabic. To this day, I can still read Arabic. Just if I see the scripture and the words and the lettering. That really, really, thinking back on it, it's like something, a part of my life that I wish I would have kept doing and been that good at it, because I was really good. And had it not been for Sister Claire Muhammad School and to have that in my curriculum, I wouldn't know to this day that, I can sound out these letters and the markings and things like that. So my experience was very positive. You had your friends, and some of the friends I still know to this day. It was family groups would get together. The activities, the training, the Arabic training, learning a different language at that young of an age is just, in retrospect, was, I mean, just out of this world. And it just, makes me think that I should have just, kept on with that. But my experience was very positive.
Amy, you on
You muted.
Thank you. I had a really good experience too. I just remember, what I remember of it is that it was not public school. I mean, it wasn't public school, but it was so different. It was the teaching I felt was advanced. And I say that because Mommy, you have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I've been telling this story for like almost 30 years now. But I think when I left Sister Claire Muhammad School, I was like doing 3rd grade stuff. And I was 5 or 6 years old, I want to say. And I think my mom told them, they said they didn't believe it. They said she would have to test. I never tested. But that's what I remember about, it being just, they were really teaching us. We weren't there just playing around. We were doing the Arabic. We were doing advanced stuff there. But that's the one thing that I did appreciate about it, that it was advanced. I think as far as Arabic, I don't remember necessarily doing Arabic at when I went to Sister Claire Muhammad School, because I think it was prior to that moment they were actually doing that. It was still like under like as Elijah Muhammad was phasing out. I had just phased out. It was like right in that moment, because that was around 75, 76. So I don't remember. Yeah, Tahita did have it with hers. Jerry, you want to speak to it?
I know Tariq just asked the question in chat. Do you know when you accepted Islam? I think you put that in there.
You want to go through that one?
I was 25. I mean, although 25 was when I had that epiphany that, you know what, this is something I want to do the rest of my life. It was an epiphany. I was walking outside of, I think it was Rite Aid, a pharmacy, and I was coming across the parking lot, and something hit me that said, this is what you want to do. But going back to the Sister Claire Muhammad School, I was so glad to be in Sister Claire Muhammad School, because I had developed some very good fighting skills that I hold true to them today. But when I was younger, going to school, they would pull my scarf off. Every day I would have to get my scarf pulled off. And I remember Daddy coming up to the school every day, because I got sent to the office, because as soon as they pulled my scarf off, a fight broke out. And I remember asking my mother, Ma, can you comb my hair today? Because when they pulled my scarf off, I needed to have my hair looking nice. But I remember walking in classrooms, and y'all can think whatever y'all want, but I knew they were gonna put me out the classroom for fighting. So because I would walk in the classroom, they pull my scarf off, I would fight, go to the office, daddy would come up. The next day, pull my scarf. So I got to the point where I knew they was gonna put me in the office. I would come right in the classroom and bust somebody in the side of the head. And then then I just got tired. I'm like, I'm gonna end up in the office anyway. So let me see who's gonna get busted in the head. And that's sad to say, but back then people weren't respectful of you being Muslim. You had to fight. So I have some, thanks to that part of my life, I got some real good fighting skills.
Yeah, and
So funny.
plus leaving, for me, I was just going to say really quickly, leaving Sister Claire Muhammad School and being kind of in that bubble, I'm just going to call it a bubble. When I went to public school, it was so foreign to me. So when you're in Sister Claire Muhammad School, you don't even know that there is a public school, how it will go. There was nothing in my mind that prepared me for what another school besides that school would be like.
Yep.
And it
And that's so
was a
true,
hard
because
transition.
it
Same
was a
here, T.
transition for Tahita, because when we moved to North Carolina, we put her on the bus and she went to a public school. I had no idea of this, how she was feeling inside, until she started having headaches and stomach aches every day. And I'm
Yep.
like, what's the matter with her? What's the matter with her? Checking her out for fevers and going through all of that. And then I said, oh my gosh. I told my daughter, who was Saida at that time, I said, let's start. Could you drive her to school? After that, the headaches left, and it was smooth sailing. But before that, to take her out of a school that she's been driven to every day all her life, and then place her on a public bus.
People
Man.
loud and the kids were rude. I was like, this is crazy.
She was having headaches and stomach aches. She would sit down before school and she would go through these experiences. And I'm like, what is going on? What's going on? So finally,
Anxiety and stress.
Yes,
Yep.
that's what it was. That's what it was.
Yeah. Tariq, to answer your question, I think for me, maybe 19. Maybe 19, I would say, when I had the opportunity to like think about it, process it, having grown up into it, you just going with it a lot of times. But yeah, but enjoying it, but yeah, I would probably say 19. I would say maybe 19. I want to say a little younger, but I'll stick with 19. All right, we're at time.
Well, wow, what a great family talk. Thank you all. We certainly appreciate you sharing with us and just being part of our love circle. Folks can please feel free to unmute and give our love to the Mateen family. And inshallah, you all have a beautiful week.
Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, everybody.
Walaikum assalam.
Assalamualaikum. Thank you, family.
Thank you.